Okay, Shalom everybody. Be'ezrat Hashem, we will start today first class. We have two classes every night of Tuesday. The first one is Halachot. Chanukah is around the corner, and we need to study a few Halachot to prepare ourselves for Chanukah. Chanukah is not about donuts only. It's a mitzvah to eat, and we'll see what's the connection also between donuts and Chanukah. Why are we eating donuts on Chanukah? Some, of course, are very strict, and they're stretching this mitzvah of eating donuts the entire year. This is not necessary. It's only on Chanukah. What's the idea behind it? We'll see. And the second class will come Be'ezrat Hashem right after, and we'll talk about Musar from the book of Orchot Tzadikim, the ways of the Tzadikim. We have a tremendous class today. Very interesting. So stay tuned. We're starting now. Question number one, why we even have to light candles for Hanukkah? What's the idea? What's the reason behind it? Why do you have to place it by the window? Okay? So the Halacha teaches us that Hanukkah is a time that we were able to overcome our enemies. And what they wanted to do, they wanted to hit the mitzvot. They forbid the Jewish people to do any mitzvot, major mitzvot like Shabbat, Brit Milah, circumcision, the Rosh Chodesh, so you can count. Those days we didn't have calendars, so they have to bring people that they saw the moon and to testify and declare that next time, like in 2 weeks or in so days, will be Rosh Chodesh. The people calculate holidays by their testimony, their testimony. People didn't know where to, when is the day for the Bar Mitzvah, for example, if they didn't declare the days of the Rosh Chodesh. So the idea of the Greeks was to mess up the Jewish calendar, to get you out of control. They one of the decrees they made was, of course, no mezuzot, and even more than that, should have no doors. No doors. They had public toilets in the middle of the street. No doors. No tzniut. You wanted to do number one or number two? Do it in the middle of the market. If not in front of whoever you want. It's natural. Just do it. Well, you're ashamed? You're going to be like us. That's what they wanted to do. Hashem helped the Maccabim, helped the Jewish people, and we were able to defeat the great nation, empire of those days, the Greeks. So we want to show everybody, to advertise the mitzvah. Everybody will see. You tried to turn the light of Torah, the light of Judaism off. We are still here. We are still exist. And where are you? The Greeks, the great empire. You're lost. You're out. So the idea of putting the candles outside under the window to advertise the mitzvah, to show that we are with Hashem all the way. We're not afraid, we're not ashamed. Imagine to yourself a house with no doors. People will be embarrassed. There should be no doors at the people's house. They should mark, they force the Jews to mark on their baby bottles Pesukim verses. En lanu chelek v'nachala b'kadosh baruch hu. We have no share. We have no connection to God. Those days, the baby's bottle used to be an ox or a cow horn. They use the horn. They made a small hole at the narrow edge, and they fill it up with milk, and they give it to the baby. But they force them to write over this piece of horn. You have no share. So the baby, when he sucked the milk, he could see already the verses. I have no share in the world, in God, in the Jewish God. They were so precise. They thought about everything. They want us to be like them. And this is the biggest problem. When you ask a Jew to be a non-Jew, it means that you have to neglect all the commandments, all the mitzvot, all your commitment to the Torah. So without it, you become a nation without a God. Because the covenant between the Jewish people and their God, Hashem, is through the Torah. Without it, we're worthless. Hashem says after we receive the Torah at the Mount of Sinai, Banim atem l'Hashem Elokechem. You are my sons, you are my children now. It's a special club, special rules. And by the way, anybody who wants to join, you can join. You can convert to Judaism. But we don't reject people for no reason. So, anyways, of course, lighting 8 candles is corresponding to the days that we had the miracle. And we will ask the very famous question in a minute after I give this introduction. The famous question that we ask every year about the number of the candles. Why is it 8 and not 7? And I explain why we asking this question. Is this mitzvah significant? Is it mandatory? Can I join my friend, light his candles and skip on kindling Chanukah candles in my house? Can I just participate in the Chanukah candle lighting in the synagogue? Is that enough, or I have to go home and lit the candles? So the halacha says, halacha number 1, the mitzvah of kindling Chanukah lights was held in the great esteem by our sages, because it displays our belief in the miracles God performed constantly on our behalf. Besides expressing our thanks to Him for the miracles of the past, because of this, we must put forth every effort to fulfill this mitzvah, even in the most trying circumstances. Our sages taught that someone who fulfilled this mitzvah, even when it is difficult, is assured that his children will become a Torah scholar. And actually, if I want to quote it literally, it says, if you are careful with lighting Chanukah candles, putting the oil or the candles, or Shabbat, or Yom Tov, Hashem promised you, it says in the states in the Talmud, in the tractate of Shabbat, page 23:2, it says clearly, Kol azahir be'ner Chanukah havyan le banim talmidei chachamim. You will have sons that will be scholars. So you know how many promises we have here? We have 3. How is it 3? When you're careful about the candles, you're going to have 3 gifts from God. What do you mean careful? Meaning, Shabbat has come, so the husband should place the candles for his wife, should lit the wick, blow it off, so when she comes to light the candles, it's already burned, catch the fire instantly. This is how he participated in the mitzvah. Same with Chanukah. He prepared the oil or the candles, and it's in his mitzvah to lit the candles. When you're careful about it, and you make efforts to fulfill this mitzvah, Hashem will give you sons, children that will be scholars. How we have 3 promises? It sounds bani, sons, children, scholars. It sounds like 2. No. When it says banim, means children or sons in plural. So you don't have 1, you have 2. And they become scholars. So first of all, the promise is that you'll have babies. How many people today try to bring babies to the world? Women try to get pregnant, they can't. By doing this simple, easy, cheap mitzvah, you gain so much. And the promise you get at least 2, and they become scholars. So you gotta be a fool not to do this mitzvah, not to pursue, not to chase after such a mitzvah, such an easy mitzvah. Question number 2. Are women obligated in this mitzvah? So, let's answer number 1 first. Question number 1 is, why we light 8 candles when the miracle was for only 7? What does that mean? It means they found 1 jar. Jar lasts for 8 days instead of 1 day. It's a miracle. It's against nature. You put oil in the lamp jars, it's going to burn. The miracle was, the light didn't go out for 8 days instead of 1 day. So, if it was supposed to last for at least 1 day already, so the rest of the days is a miracle. Not 8, 7 days. 1 it already needs to be on. So why are we celebrating 8 and not 7? There is so many answers for this question. I will bring 1 or 2. Number 1, this is true. The first, we are celebrating the miracle. The other 7 is the miracle of the miracle of defeating the Greeks, winning the war. That's for the first day. The other 7, it's for the miracle, the 7 days that it didn't go out. Another opinion was that if this is the jar the Kohen put, so it burned not full after 24 hours. It went only 1/8. And the second day, another 1/8. So at the first day, it was already a miracle. Instead of burning the entire of it, the entire jar, only 1/8 right now. So there's many reasons why we celebrate the 8 days. We just brought 2 of them. Number 2, are women obligated in this mitzvah? The halacha says men and women are obligated equally in this mitzvah. Why? Because since women were involved in the miracles of Chanukah as well, on the poskim, the rabbis agree that a woman may kindle Chanukah lights and recite the blessing over that mitzvah on behalf of men, and that those men can fulfill their obligation in this way. So if you want to give to his wife to light the candles, it's fine. If he can't make it, he's far away, he is out of town, his wife can do the mitzvah for him. He doesn't have to do it in the hotel where he's at, because it says ner ish uveito. It needs to be kindled in the house. So you cover it. Wife is in the house, she will do it for you. So it's a mutual mitzvah, men and women as well. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהכל נהיה בדברו.
Amen.
Thank you. So a poor guy came and it says, listen, I really want to perform this mitzvah of Chanukah, but I don't have the money. In order to buy the candles, I need to have, $5. The only way for me to get the $5, if I bring my this jacket to a pawn shop, and they give me $5 for it. So what the halacha says, hey, this is his only jacket, leave him alone. The halacha says no. Even a person who is poor, so poor, that he will have nothing to eat unless he is given charity, must find a way to fulfill a mitzvah of kindling Chanukah lights. Even if it means that he must sell his only shirt in order to obtain the necessary material, or to pawn his only shirt for that purpose. You see how important it is? Yep. Alternatively, he must find some labor to perform to earn money for this purpose. He must obtain enough material to kindle at least one light on each of the nights of Hanukkah. Which means, This is very